I'm just gonna come on here and tell you, before you even start this video, it is a mess. It is a complete and utter mess because half of the time I don't know what I'm saying. And I don't have the energy to start this all over again. So I really do apologize. I'm slowly getting back into the feels of recording. So I do apologize. Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to another video. I don't know where I do know where I got this energy from. Okay, anyway, welcome back to another video, another weekly video. Okay. Today I will be doing my June wrap up. It's luckily not like, well, it's mid-July, so I'm a bit late, but also July was a very slow start for me because I was just exhausted most of the time. But anyway, what's done is done. Before we get started, please remember to like the video, subscribe, comment down below how many books you read this month, and which one was your favorite, how many were your favorite? And let's just jump right into the video. Okay, as per tradition, I'm just going to show you the stats of my reading month of June. I may have not recorded any of these for YouTube, but I did read, not much. I think June overall I just hit a big slump and I couldn't continue up until the last bit of June where I flushed out a book a day. So, you know, how's your reading going? Great. At least I'm still ahead of my challenge of reading. I think I want to read 60 books this year, so I'm getting there. Slowly but surely. Right, so the books that I read 6 books, over 2,000 pages, and most of the moods were emotional, dark, adventurous, light-hearted, funny, and reflective. The pace, I read 17% slow. I think that was, I can't remember which book it was. I think it was it wasn't an Endless Escape. Maybe, I don't know. A Ship of Bones and Teeth or Endless Escape. For me, I just think it was in that moment that I read it. Oh, yes. I know which one it was because I was in a bad mood that day. So that's why I said it was a slow read, but it's not read. I was just in the mood and I never changed it. Anyway, and the rest were medium paced. So unless you're a very fast reader, they might be fast to you. And then all the books that I read, surprisingly, were between 300 and 499 pages, but it took me forever to read these books. So June, man. And then the genre that I read was romance, fantasy, young adult, and contemporary. I don't know why my head is itching. The tags, I read 1 in print, 2 in digital, and 3 in audio, but I don't think the stats picked that up, so I'm not going to include that. And then my average rating, I bit my tongue. And then my average rating is 4.5. Most of these books I gave 4.5. One I gave 4, and the other one I gave 5. So let's jump into the books that I read. If my hands look pink, they are. It's very cold in this room. Okay, first book I read was the newest release from Karina Hull, and it is, what is my doing there? And it is A Ship of Bones and Teeth. Whew. This book sent me on a roller coaster ride like nobody's business. So we are following Marin, who is basically a siren, and we follow Captain Ramsey. If you are in the mood for The Little Mermaid meets Pirates of the Caribbean, I would definitely recommend picking this one up. It is really basically just about the Little Mermaid meeting a pirate, and it's very spicy. So we follow 16-year-old Marin, and she sells her soul to the sea witch to fall in love with Prince Eric, or to start a life with Prince Eric. But Prince Eric is not the person who she thought he was. He's more of like a playboy, if you want to call him that. He just likes her because for a whole year she was quiet. She was very weak. She could never gain confidence in a matter, or in a sense. So he always liked that about her until I think a year later, where her tongue started growing back and she found her voice, and all of a sudden he was hitting her and just, he doesn't like her. He married her for convenience, basically, because she was just that pretty. So we married. And then I think 10 years later, we follow her, how she is kidnapped by Captain Ramsey's crew. I forgot what they are called, but they're basically vampires. Vampire pirates. Vampires. I'm suitably impressed by myself, which I shouldn't be, but anyway. So he kidnaps them and they go on this whole journey where both of them have a revenge quest against the sea witch who turned Marin into a princess. Because obviously the sea witch lied to Marin, and she also took something from Captain Ramsey. But I gave that 4.5 out of 5 stars. I first gave it 3 stars, merely because I was in a bad mood the day I read the last few chapters, and it just felt like it kept on dragging and dragging, and I was just like, can we get to the point, please? But after reflection, I realized, you know, I was just in a bad mood. Don't review and rate books when you are in a bad mood. Just leave it for the next day. It's not going to change your stats if you leave it for another day. The next book I read was Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. This was also a buddy read with my bestie. I gave this book also 4.5 out of 5 stars. If you're not familiar with the series, this basically follows Alina Starkov and how she discovers that she has hidden powers right after she and her troops move into like the void. It's just a sea of blackness. You can't see your hands in front of you. And when her best friend is attacked, she attacks back. Not in that sense, but she freaks out and she unleashes power that she has kept dormant and kind of tried to hide all her life. So yeah, this is just the second book of that. I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the further world building it had, and I enjoyed the, it's not a slice of life, but the slice of life it gave you throughout everything. It wasn't this hop, skip and jump around from place to place. It was mainly them traveling from one place to another and staying there for the remainder of it, just building on friendship, building on relationships, destroying relationships, and finding out that Nikolai is actually a very good guy. Yeah, I'm a Nikolai stan. Anyway, so this was a very fun read for me, especially since I read it with my best friend. She has a thing for the Darkling, quite considered for her. Then the next book I read was the latest release from Kevin Herning, and it is An Endless Escape. This is, like I say, the second book where it follows two royals, and they are destined to kill each other's kingdoms if they ever so touch in any way, sense or form. I don't know if it involves gloves, but I'm assuming it does. So whenever they touch, or if they ever touch, let me put it like that, they destroy their whole kingdoms and the people with it. So they become enemies because of things that happened between the two kingdoms. And somewhere along the line, the princess is sent through the Forbidden Forest so that she can marry another king. But the prince from her enemy country is like a bandit in disguise. And he and his troops basically kidnap her and take her through the Forbidden Forest. And they have this whole adventure together and fall in love, as one should, if it's enemies to lovers. So yeah, I don't think I'm explaining this very well, but this was by far my favorite read of last year. I think I read it on New Year's Eve and I just couldn't stop gushing about that book. So I really would highly recommend Kevin's books. It's very entertaining. This book as well, it was entertaining, but the problem is I kind of forgot what happened in the first book, because it kind of, the first book ends and the second book begins instantly where the last book ends, and I was just like, I'm a bit lost because I read it like 6 months ago. I can't remember what it was, and I was too lazy to pick up the first book again. So if there was something that I missed, oops. But slowly but surely everything came back to me and I was like, okay, I know who you are now, and I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars because it was just enjoyable. Overall adventurous, enjoyable, some few betrayals. That's how it goes in fantasy books. Then the next book I read was One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This follows a woman who was married to her high school sweetheart, and I think like a day before their 1-year anniversary, he dies, or he just goes missing. His plane or helicopter goes missing and they never find him. So she moves on and she falls in love again with a high school friend that liked her, but you know, she never had any reciprocation for his feelings up until the point where she gets to know him and she realizes that she loves him. And then 3 years after her husband's plane crashes, he calls her from, I think, Hawaii, and he says, hey, I'm coming home. And she's like, what? Because she's engaged to her new boyfriend, dude. And how she now has to decide whether she wants to stay with the new guy or is she going to go back to the old one. And Taylor Jenkins Reid just has a way of showing you how people grow in their relationships over time. Like, a person doesn't stagnate throughout their relationship. Things change, people change. And it was just such a beautiful way of explaining how people grow the more they age. I think I just said that, but it was a very nice read for me. I really did enjoy it, and I think I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think the only reason I deducted half a point was because I expected the end. I knew what was going to happen. It was kind of written in the stars, if you want to say. The fifth book I read was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, and we follow a 17-year-old hopeless romantic and how she wishes her life was a movie. So we follow Liz and her neighbor. They constantly bickering, they constantly hating on each other. When her crush comes back from Texas, she's like, okay, she's going to go to her neighbor because he's quite popular in high school, and she asks him to sneak her into one of the parties where Michael, her crush, is going to be, so that she can, you know, like win him over and make him fall in love with her, basically. And throughout the book, she is trying her damnest so that Michael can fall in love with her, but he's just the whole time like, you're cute, but you're still as whimsical and weird as you were when you were 9, so I don't feel the same. And without her noticing that her neighbor is actually the one that likes her and he wants to pursue a relationship with her, that kind of thing. So it was entertaining. I really did enjoy it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The only thing I would say that knocked the stars off was, for me, basically, is the underwhelming sense of when Liz and this person kissed. I'm not going to say if it was Michael or the other guy. But yeah, when they kissed, I was busy with something else and I got distracted. Let me just put it like this. I listened to it on audio. So I was busy with something else and I wasn't concentrating on the build up to the romantic kiss scene. And I was like, that was a bit underwhelming. So yeah, that is the only thing that I deducted a star. It was because of my fault. It wasn't at all the story's fault. I shouldn't be doing that. But also I was too lazy to skip backwards again. So, because the moment was past. The moment was over. Couldn't do anything about it. And then the last book I read for June was Unfortunately Yours, but wait, Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. And in this book we follow Natalie Voss and how she is trying to come to terms with the fact that her ex destroyed her life in New York. She's now living at the Voss Winery. Why couldn't I say that word? In Tampa. And she's trying to strike a deal with her dad so that she can get her not insurance money, inheritance money. But her dad's like, you know what? No, because you need to be married and you have to have a job before I can give you that money. And she's like, okay, well, I'm going to then marry for convenience. Then who better than August, the guy I despise? You know. Why not make it convenient? Anyway, so, and he also needs money to build up like a winery in honor of his best friend's memory. So they both marry for convenience and slowly start to fall in love, even though they didn't like each other in the beginning. So, you know, you can see my trend as enemies to lovers. I really enjoyed it. Gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy the banter between the two because while they were married and while they were falling in love, there was still this banter with them. It is part of the Vine Mess series or duology. So you don't need to read the first book, which was Secretly Yours, but if you want context of who is what, pick it up. It's also a fun read. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm not going to do a July TBR because I'm mood reading this month. I don't care what I pick up. I'm just mood reading. The only thing I can tell you what I'm reading this month is Ruin Rising. That's about that. I don't have any other plans. That is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like and subscribe. And like I said, comment down below how many books you read and which one was your favorite, or how many were your favorite. I don't know. And I'll see you guys in the video next week. Bye.